Hello, everyone. Epic Games recently announced MetaHuman Creator, a cloud-streamed application that enables the creation, live captured animation, and potentially in the future, fully AI-capable, lifelike NPCs. So what are the implications of this new technology to games in terms of cost, capabilities, and production value? Here with us to speak to these issues and more, we have Arvind Neelakanan, Technology Evangelist at Epic Games. Welcome, Arvind.
Hello, Joe. Hey, Avinash. How are you doing?
Doing well. And
Thanks.
co-hosting with me to discuss this technology is Leela Games CTO Avinash Pandey. Welcome, Avinash, as well.
Thanks, Jagay.
So, Arvind, I thought we could just jump right in and begin the discussion by talking about the technology, where it is today, and the current primary applications. I know it was used by Ninja Theory in Hellblade to animate the Senua character. Can you talk about where and how this technology is currently being used?
Absolutely. So just to give a quick introduction about the MetaHuman Creator itself, it is a cloud-based tool. So you're able to access the MetaHuman Creator on just any web browser, and you're able to create a MetaHuman. Now, currently MetaHuman is in early access, which means you have to sign up in order to get access to it. This tool, when you talk about implications and where it can be used, it really opens the doors to creation of very realistic characters. If you have ever been using or creating realistic characters, it sometimes takes weeks or even months to create something very realistic. And MetaHuman Creator removes that barrier out for you. In terms of use cases, it can of course be used in games as either a playable character itself or as non-playable characters like NPCs. All sorts of games and experiences that you can ever think of. Eventually, it can also be animated, used as a digital avatar. So it's not just in games. You can also use it. Can also be used by, say, YouTube streamers, or even for virtual production for film, where you want to maybe have a stand-in for an actor, for example. You could absolutely do that too. So because it's an early access, the MetaHuman Creator tool itself, or the assets that we create out of MetaHuman Creator itself, it's still being used in a few productions but nothing is out yet because it's so new, right? But we cannot really wait to see how game developers or storytellers can really dive into this tool set, because it's a fairly intuitive interface, and it's really up to them to experiment to find new and interesting ways to use these MetaHumans.
Okay, and in that kind of Hellblade example that was on the Epic website, there was mention of 3 different companies: 3Lateral, Cubic Motion, or actually 4 companies, iKinema and Xsense. Are those all part of Epic now? And how do all those technologies integrate together?
Sure. So 3Lateral and Cubic Motion are part of the Epic family. Now, this live capture that we were seeing, I would say it was probably the GDC 2016 demonstration that you probably saw that. That was also using iKinema and Xsense, but they were showing off the motion capture technology in terms of the body capture more than anything else. So iKinema and Xsense are their own companies. They're not part of Epic, whereas 3Lateral and Cubic Motion is part of the Epic family. In terms of how the tech itself is used, so 3Lateral is, of course, the face scanning technology. So you have this very high resolution, high fidelity scanning tech that goes behind the scene, which also connects into this digital double pipeline. And then Cubic Motion is the one that solves the scan data. So it's able to create intelligent or AI-based animation based on the scanning that was done by 3Lateral. It's a pretty carefully supervised process, combining both 3Lateral and Cubic Motion's technology, because there is a huge database of scanned assets that we already have, which are then combined into the MetaHuman Creator, so that they're able to create human beings who were actually scanned from real life. And the process itself is fairly robust. Like, we have this data preparation, we have cleanup, you also have rigging and modeling, and you also have look dev and database integration with all of these tools. And at the same time, because it's early access and it's like the version 1 of the product itself, we're also adding a lot of things on top of it, like automation pipelines and whatnot, in order to make sure that the tool is a lot more friendlier as the versions keep ticking up.
Right, and then in terms of the application, so and character animation, is it primarily CG movies for games? Is it other things that you're seeing as far as how it's being used in early access right now?
I think it's really up to the folks who are using it. The assets that you're going to be getting out of the MetaHuman Creator itself is, of course, optimized for game development, particularly for PC and console. In fact, I believe I think there's been a lot of interest about mobile and VR and AR, which I will get to in just a little bit of time. But primarily, the idea is that we are able to use the MetaHuman Creator for game development, not only game development purposes for high-end PCs and consoles, but of course you can also use it for, like I mentioned, like virtual production, or even have digital avatars. We're already seeing that a lot because the MetaHuman Creator kind of out of the box supports live linking, which is the technology that allows you to use the Apple's Face ID on your iPhone, and you're just able to have your facial expression mapped onto the MetaHuman Creator. So we're also seeing a lot of streamers like Twitch streamers and YouTube streamers using the digital avatar for that. We're also seeing a lot of animated short film or storytellers who are just using the digital humans or the metahumans that you're able to get to tell their stories that they were using a very small team or even sometimes a single person team, because all you really need is an iPhone and a mocap, and then you're able to create any number of avatars using the MetaHuman Creator, and then essentially create a story using the Unreal Engine while you're acting out all of the different digital avatars that you're able to create. So the possibilities are fairly wide open. In terms of what is currently used in production, we don't know yet. At least I don't know yet because it's still very new. And I would say it will be a few months before you start seeing it in live games or live productions.
And then you had mentioned the cost and time impact. If we're just talking about, let's say, 3D character animations, can you characterize that a little bit more for us in terms of like how much of a cost savings or like how much time?
Yeah, I mean, as mentioned earlier, right? It's a very painstaking process for you to create a very realistic human being, and it typically requires not just time but also very high technical expertise. So each facial feature, because we are so used to seeing human beings, that I see you, you see me, we notice the smallest incorrect or imperfection in your face, and it's not a real human being, for example, right? So the process that we have used with Trilateral and Cubic Motion, along with some of the internal projects that we've been working with Epic Games, we have made this process a lot easier. Like what used to take several weeks or several days or several months, now you're able to create it in a day if you can do. In fact, as a great example of that, we recently launched a women's creator program right here in India, where we invited some of the top women talent in the film industry, and they used the MetaHuman to essentially tell a short film or tell a story, create a short film in 4 weeks' time. And remember that most of these women have never used Unreal before. That's the first time they've used. And in 4 weeks, using MetaHumans, they were actually able to create short films using the MetaHumans, which otherwise would not even have been possible. They would have probably used like some game-looking or traditionally game-looking art assets, which wouldn't look real, right? So, and the MetaHuman also comes with a fully rigged and animated character. You're able to also use your mocap technology, just slap it on there. You're able to use Live Link from iPhone, just slap it on there. And within like a few hours, you're able to create digital humans, which saves a lot of time and money and a headache for you. So I would let you translate that to cost, but I think it's a significant amount of money that you are going to be saving.
Okay, and maybe I could ask one more application question before I turn it over to Avinash to ask you some technical questions. But the other question I have is, given the technology, would this also potentially have the application in terms of being able to turn, let's say, a game designer into an artist by allowing you to custom create like your own, 3D character or model using the technology? Or do you still need the artist to actually kind of create, basically create your characters?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I want to first align the fear that we're not replacing artists at all. That's not the point. That's not the point of this tool. I think at the end of the day, you still need an artist's eye, an artist's vision, in order to create a good-looking digital avatar. What the MetaHuman Creator allows you to do is get rid of your boilerplate stuff, right? Like most of the time, you're always going to be rigging characters. You're always creating these controls for your facial animation. You're always trying to add some kind of good-looking subsurface scattered skin, some good-looking hair. So what the MetaHuman Creator, and if you've used it, is that it opens up this uh, about a template about 50 human beings, like human characters, not human beings, meta-humans, I'll say, and you start that as your base character. Like that's going to be your base character, and then you can have artists can come on top of it and start sculpting it using the MetaHuman Creator in order to create the best looking human being or meta-human that's possible. So of course, a technical artist or a non-artist can jump in to start using this. But I think if you really want to get that, the final good lookingness or the final touch that you would want for your game or your application, I think that artist touch would definitely help. Yeah.
Yeah, to extend JK's question, so I had another question, but this was pretty interesting. So in terms of animations, and I did my own personal research. So MetaHuman animates in real time your facial expressions. But what my understanding is that for the full body animation, you still use built-in animation clips. So MetaHuman just works on your face, and rest of the animations you still have to do through your existing animation systems and platform. Is that understanding correct?
Yes. Well, yes and no. When you bring in the MetaHuman is fully rigged. Both the facial rig and the body rig is fully rigged. Once you bring in the MetaHuman inside Unreal Engine, you're then able to use the iPhone, which kind of like automatically connects to create facial expressions. At the same time, you also have control rigs, which is the rigging system within Unreal Engine, which kind of works seamlessly with even existing animations. So if you have, let's say, the most famous mannequin character has a whole bunch of animations inside Unreal, you can absolutely map those animations to the MetaHuman and use existing animations. If you have mocap animations, you can also bring that animation and map it to your MetaHuman. You can also live stream mocap data from Xsense or whatever other suit that you're using, and then bring that into Unreal. And at the same time, you can also hand animate it because the sequencer, which is the time or uh, the tool that's used for telling linear story within Unreal, you're also able to create keyframes. And if you're a traditional animator, like who's comfortable using creating animations using just keyframes, you can also absolutely do that.
Interesting.
So it's fairly flexible.
Yeah. So if people are, if somebody looks at MetaHuman in a way that if there is a camera and you can, the way we are talking, we are animating our hands and using these gestures, can MetaHuman do body gestures as well, or it's just facial real time when we talk about real time animations?
Yeah, if you have a mocap suit on you, you can absolutely also do your body gestures and bring in your finger data, your body data. You can bring everything in. Yeah, it's kind of like mostly plug and play for that. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The other question I always get asked is when will it come to mobile? Like how optimized will it be on mobile? And I saw like it supports eight LODs, eight head LODs, four body LODs, and I think they have also mentioned that it works on Android. So what's your take on like where are we right now, and is there any priority in terms of bringing it to more mobile AR VR more optimized way?
Sure. The eventual, and this question I get asked a lot. So eventual idea of MetaHuman is to make it platform agnostic, to have like as many platforms support the MetaHuman Creator. At this point of time, the high fidelity that you're able to get out of the MetaHuman Creator is predominantly for PC and consoles. We are working towards supporting Android and other lower end devices, including for virtual reality and augmented reality, where you do have where you have like a fairly tight budget when it comes to CPU and GPU usage. The support is coming, but as of the early access MetaHuman Creator that we have today, it's aimed at PC and consoles for the most part.
Okay. All right. Yeah. By the way, their LOD system is pretty flexible. Like you have control over. So basically, one of the cool things about MetaHuman I liked is the way you render here. So it's strand based instead of quad based. But if for the performance, you can also just convert it to quad based, and then you can have different settings for different LOD levels. So I'm sure, like when you guys focus on just mobile or these platforms, some tech is already there. It's just you have to then refine it for that specific platform. So,
Correct. So, you can absolutely optimize your MetaHuman in order to make it run on a low-end device. But personally, and this is my own opinion, which is that, like, the MetaHuman look best when it is in LOD 0. But if you're going to bring it down to LOD 8, it doesn't look the best. Like, it kind of like removes the entire point of creating a MetaHuman, because it looks kind of okay at best, right? So I think you can kind of lock it at LOD 8 if that's kind of what you want, and you can of course extend the other functionalities like the control rig that you get out of the box with the MetaHuman. Then use that in your Android or your mobile application. You can absolutely do that, and nothing should stop you from that.
yeah, I was imagining if I have to make a game, which game would I make with MetaHuman first? So if you guys remember Talking Tom, so earlier it was so hard to achieve facial expressions. Like if you have to do facial expressions, first of all they have to be rigged. Like it's very hard to have real time facial expressions. But MetaHuman could be a perfect fit for that kind of game. Like perfect animation, just single character. So you don't have to optimize so many things. So maybe those kind of games, and even the games like I was we are building a shooter game. So I was thinking, how can we use MetaHuman in a shooter game? So shooters make use of LODs very very intensively. So maybe your LOD 1, LOD 2 have MetaHuman features enabled, but as soon as you go far, anyway you can't see facial expressions. So that's where we can disable this particular feature and just have really low version of LOD, which is very similar to what we have right now. But if somebody comes to you and talks to you using voice chat, whatever, then maybe we can enable that feature. So is it possible to disable MetaHumans on other LODs and just have it on your LOD 0 or LOD 1?
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. In fact, for virtual production specifically, we have the opposite problem. We don't really care about LOD 1, 2, or 3. We want to have only LOD 0 throughout. So you can absolutely lock your LOD if you feel like saying this is the only LOD I really care about. So and of course, Unreal also does its own LOD automatically. So they have the 8 LODs. Depending on how far you are from the camera, it kind of automatically reduces the polys based on how far you are. So that also happens automatically. So you can go both ways. You can restrict your character to have only specific number of LODs, or you can also force your character to have the best looking LOD ever based on where you want your application to be deployed to.
Correct. And you also talked about your longer term vision is to make it multi-platform. So when you say multi-platform, would you go beyond Unreal Engine and give support to other gaming engines like Unity or any other?
That's already supported. You don't need to. That's already there. So if you go, it's right now supports Unity. It supports Maya, 3D Studio Max, all of your typical digital content creation tools. All of that is supported right now, right? Like today. So if you go to the Pixel Bridge, which is the application that allows you to download the MetaHuman, it allows you to export the MetaHuman to any of these DCCs. So you don't need to worry. It's not just Unreal Engine today.
Perfect, right? Perfect. Yeah, it saves lots of money for Unity. Like now they don't have to do so much research.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And Arvind, in terms of the longer term roadmap, when you're thinking 3 to 5 years out, what's on the roadmap, and when do we get to fully AI, avatars that do everything?
Well, let me answer that in a different manner. Right now, the vision that Tim Sweeney has is of this thing called the metaverse. Right, the metaverse is fundamentally a digital twin of our real world, and you have your digital avatars of yourself, hanging out, watching movies, you're making movies, you're playing games, you're making games. And I think Zoom would kind of be obsolete in the few years of time, where you literally be seeing you and me in digital avatars. And that's kind of what the metaverse vision is all about. And all of us at Epic Games and within the Unreal Engine team are just working towards that vision. We want to make Unreal Engine and all of the tools that we are kind of giving it out, like MetaHuman Creator, as an operating system, I would say, on top of what the metaverse is going to be. So, to kind of give the answer of where this is going to be in 3 to 5 years, that's the vision. Like the metaverse is the vision, and all of what we're working towards, like, be it like AI related animations or AI related realistic human expressions or whatever that you can really think of, it's towards this vision, and that's kind of where we see the roadmap for MetaHuman and pretty much every other tool that we're creating within the games.
All right, awesome. So maybe if you can, Arvind, could we see like a demo of that in terms of anything that you can show?
Sure. So let me share my screen if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what you see. So earlier, if you go to the MetaHuman Creator, it's a browser-based tool, so you can sign up for early access. And if you go to Quixel Bridge, which is a standalone application, you can download a whole bunch of MetaHumans. If you go to Quixel Bridge, if I go on the MetaHumans here, we have about a preset of about 50 digital humans that you can start with. And this is what I mentioned earlier. This, like, you could start off with anything that kind of is close-ish to what you really want to have, and you can begin from there. And look, I'm kind of super happy that there's a lot of diversity to the characters also. This guy looks like me, I think. Sure, with a lot of hair, of course. But there you go. So you have this guy. So you can download that asset. And then you can use the MetaHuman Creator to kind of then sculpt the character to the way to kind of what you want it to be, and you can access the MetaHuman Creator by signing up. You click on the Start MHC, it stands for MetaHuman Creator, and that will open up a browser that you can then use for creating your tool. Once you have that downloaded, like I said earlier, if you go on the export settings, you already have the export target for all of these things. So you can export it to 3D Studio Max, Maya, Unity, Blender, Houdini, Cinema. It's a whole bunch of things, right? Like it's a lot. But I'm going to select Unreal Engine, and all you have to do is select the avatar or select the character that you have created. And of course, any character that you create will also automatically show up because it uses the same login. So if you logged in and created a digital avatar, it will just show up over here also. Once you have there, just click on it and just export it. And it will take a little bit of time because it is 8K resolution. But you can, of course, also export it as 2K and 4K if it is your own MetaHuman that you created. Once you export it, it will just kind of like pretty much automatically just show up in your editor. If you have the Unreal Editor open, or whatever project that you have currently open, it will just automatically import the digital human in there. So it's usually called BP underscore. BP stands for blueprint underscore the character name of the character that you just created. To kind of answer the question of what Avinash asked about earlier, if I select the MetaHuman and if I go under LOD sync, I can restrict or force my LOD to be only a particular kind of LOD. So I'm kind of right now forcing. If I have it as -1, then it'll automatically do the LODing itself. But if I make it 0, then it's going to force it to be always high quality LOD based on regardless of how far I am from there. Now, if you look at the MetaHuman itself, it's very good looking, like great looking hair, like mine. And you also have like pretty good looking clothing. All of that is like, simulates and it's physics based. So you have all of that. You also have the ability to edit the animation blueprint and make your own changes if you want to. So it's you have that. At the same time, if I add it to, let's say, a new Lego sequence, save that document here. Let me add this guy to the sequencer. You'll notice that if I select the face, kind of notice the full rig that you get here. So you can kind of animate those rigs. So I can kind of like, move it around. I'm moving the eye around, or I can move my mouth around or whatever. All of that is fully rigged. Like you automatically get the rig. At the same time, you also have the same thing with the body. So if I select the body, you'll notice that this also has a control rig fully ready to be animated. So you can select that. Well, it's probably I need to rotate it rather than move it. So I can rotate that around for that, or if I want to really move it, I can also there's actually a little known thing in here which not a lot of people know about, which is if I go under MetaHumans, common controls, utilities, and if I run this, you also have this very nifty little tool that I can kind of dock. So I can, rather than selecting it in the viewport, which could get a little messy, I can also select my rig from here, and I can choose inverse kinematics, or if I don't want inverse kinematics, I can select the character, and I can, have like all of my animations done through this, which a lot more animators would feel at home. Of course, if you have an XM suit or any kind of mocap suit, that also kind of streams directly in here. So to close that, I don't need that anymore. I can also select my character, and I can use live link, which is kind of available right out of the box. So if I import that, you automatically see this L link, which stands for live link. So if I go on the window and live link, I have my iPhone here with me. If it's connected to the same IP, then it kind of is available. So it's kind of green right now. And I can go under simulate mode on play. And now if I go here, so you can now see as I am moving my face in my phone, including my neck animations, all of that will kind of automatically show up in front of this character also, which is pretty cool. So you can then also just record this, which is kind of what the folks at the Women's Creator program did a lot. They had multiple characters where they just acted out each character. They recorded it using the take recorder, which is a plugin that you can download in the cinematics. So you have take recorder to record your animations, and then and you can then have your character kind of act out, and then you can record that animation, then bring in another character, record that animation, and then put them together in your sequencer, and you can essentially just create a one-person act with multiple characters in there. So which is pretty cool. So it's kind of like just out of the box. I literally did like minimal setup for this. At the same time, one more thing I also want to show is mapping this character to let's say a third-person character, like the third-person template that's already available within Unreal is also fairly easy. So if I have turned that off, should be here. So you can see that this is a third-person character, like a typical third-person character that you would, like the mannequin character. I literally just replaced the mannequin character with my MetaHuman. So if I click on play, let me just select that. And now I have the same character, and now I'm also like this is the live link character that I had earlier, but now I also have the same character who is now my playable character, and it looks pretty all right. So you can do all kinds. So like I said, the possibilities of how you can use the MetaHuman is fairly endless. You can go crazy with it with games, or you can also use it for virtual production. You can use it for streaming or replacing your mug with a MetaHuman, and you can, it's a pretty exciting world to be.
Yeah, it looks ready.
Great.
It seems like we can use it right away.
Exactly. Yeah, I usually just like to replace my face with the MetaHuman because it's much better looking.
Yeah. So this might be internal information, but like, is Epic also working on any games using MetaHuman?
We also make a lot of games. There's not a lot of I can talk about though. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
Avinash, do you have any more questions?
No, I'm just blown away by this tech.
Okay. All right. Well, Arvind, in terms of like any final message to our audience, do you have any bits of advice for using MetaHuman Creator or any other message to our audience?
Absolutely. Well, there's a few things I can maybe kind of seed in. One, if you're really interested in MetaHuman Creator, definitely sign up for the early access part. We'd love to hear your feedback on what it is. Once you sign up, it usually takes it doesn't take too long for you to get access, but sign up and let us know feedback. Use it in whatever kind of different applications. And if there's something very interesting, do let me know. Do let us know. We'd love to hear you out. And if you'd like to learn more about Unreal Engine and whatnot, definitely check out the online learning portal. We do have a ton of content in there for metahumans and otherwise for you to also start learning Unreal Engine. And if you're in the region which I operate in, which is India and Southeast Asia, if you're interested in getting trained, also let us know. We have been doing a lot of hand-holding or hands-on training sessions for free for a number of folks. So we'll be more than happy to hear from you if you're interested in learning Unreal Engine. And finally, we also have Unreal Engine 5. So download it. It's on early access also. I think that's a different podcast altogether, but it's got a ton of new features. That's very, very exciting. Yeah, and we love.
All right. Well, I'll definitely reach out to you about that as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Arvind. Until next time, everybody. That's it. Thanks.
All right.